Good afternoon. Before I talk about this week's Parsha, I want to speak to those who watch my videos. The numbers of watchers of my videos has diminished over the years, and I don't believe it's because of the quality of what I'm communicating, but the policies of YouTube. YouTube is controlled by either Google or one of the Facebook, one of these mass companies, and the format has changed, and my ability to speak to people and communicate with people has changed. Recently, I got into my site and I saw that my classification, the classification of my videos, which are about Jewish education or philosophy, is comedy. Now, that's the last thing I would say. I'm not a joker. I don't speak jokes. And I think that the person doing the classification, I classified this as Jewish education, as religious education, philosophy, and so on. They're classifying this as comedy. And that's the reason why people aren't looking for a rabbi with I don't make a joke in 2 seconds, they're not going to look at me. And so they're not listening to what I'm saying. And many of the people that originally were listening are not listening because I'm not classified anymore, I'm not available anymore as a Jewish education or information. If this is true, then I'm hoping that somebody out there would protest to the people at YouTube. I used to get anywhere between 200-300 views on a video, sometimes as high as 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. It goes up to over 100,000 for one of my videos. But to consistently only have about 30 views, there is something wrong, and I believe it's because of the way they're handling my videos, because they consider me right-wing, they consider me attacking the left, attacking the positions on global warming, and I am pro-circumcision, and I am pro-religion, and I am pro-gun, and other kinds of stuff. So I must be some kind of kook, and they've labeled me as a comedian, not a person who tells the truth. Please issue your protest to YouTube to put me back on education and philosophy. Thanks. I'd like to talk about the Parsha. Parsha is V'hoya, Kisavai el ha'aretz. Whenever the Torah uses the word V'hoya, that's a key word. V'hoya means something happy. When you come to the land, that's happy. When you have new fruit growing, that's happy. When a Jew brings the first offering, the Bikurim, the first growth, the first fruits to the Kohen between Shavuot and Sukkot. And the people who do that, the whole thing is done with such pomp and revelry, that it's incredible. It was an incredible experience. How the people of Israel, the people of Judea, all the tribes of Israel, would come and would offer thanks to God for the bounty that God has shared with them. This is an important lesson, but before I go into that lesson, psychology of the lesson, the Parsha is not a happy Parsha. The Parsha, the end of the Parsha, which is the bulk of the Parsha, deals with 98 curses and a whole bunch of other curses, and 11 other curses. It's a total of, if you're keeping score, 109 curses just in this Parsha, and frightening things, frightening predictions, which all came true, by the way. But how is this V'hoya? And it will come to pass in a happy way. And so you have to understand it in light of Hasidic interpretation. Yes, things turned out to be not as we hoped. We failed, and as a result of our failures, there were consequences. The consequences were horrific, and they were terrible, terrible deeds that were done to the people of Israel, the Jewish people. Millions upon millions of Jews were murdered throughout the centuries. We should be numbering between 250 and 300 million plus, given our the prolific expansion of Orthodox Jewry. We should be between 400 and 500 million. We should be one of the main peoples on this earth. Instead, tiny group of people, maybe 13 to 16 million. How does it happen? We're one of the oldest people on earth. The answer is the world has been attacking us, practicing negative population growth on the Jewish people. So how is this happy? And the answer is, we Jews believe in the hand of God, that everything is divinely ordained, and that even bad things are really good things, that there's no such thing as a bad thing that comes from God. So the bad that happened, it's a bad thing. Nobody can take that away. But when Mashiach comes, we will see that even the bad thing was a good thing. And that's why the introduction is V'hoya, because it will not remain as a negative. When Mashiach comes, it will be a positive, and we will see the curses as something positive, interpreted in an altogether different, magnificent way. So the response that we have is, don't despair. Don't despair of current events. Don't despair that there are people who badmouth people who deserve to be lauded. Don't despair when you see evil people promoting obviously evil positions and getting away with it. And you wonder, where is the justice? And the answer to that is that God is all around us. And no one, not the president, not his critics, not Kim Jong-un, not Putin, or all of the wonderful tyrants of this world, Premier of China, Jiang, and all of their ilk, and the Ayatollah Khamenei, and all of those wonderful people. All those people, they go around strutting with their, with their bodies filled with, what it's filled with. Most of us are filled with those things. And they project it. They say lies that are open and claim other people are lying. And those of us who see all of this see that it just doesn't make sense. Why would they get away with this? How can they get away with this? The answer is, all of this will become magnificent. All of this will be transformed into good. The negative, the dross, will become gold and diamond. All of life will be seen in a different light. And that's why the parsha starts with V'hoya, despite all 109 curses, because the curses are really blessings. What is the lesson that we have? Lesson from Bikurim, from the first fruits. It teaches you the Torah consistently demands that everything that's first should be given to God, should be dedicated for a higher purpose. I don't own land. I don't have fruit that grows on the land, nor is my land that I own in Eretz Yisrael. So I can't offer the tithes, the gifts for the Kohen, the first fruits, and so on. And today, all of those obligations are only rabbinic. So, but what can I learn from that? The first fruit that grows, the first of the crops before I go ahead and take for myself. I have to think about someone else. I have to dedicate it for a higher purpose. Every day we wake up. What do we do? What's the first thing we do? Do we turn on the TV? Do we go read the newspaper, get a cup of coffee? What is the first thing that we do in the morning? What is the involvement that we have, the first involvement, the thing that captures our mind? What are we focused on every morning? The first few minutes of the morning. Answer that to yourself. I'm not an inquisitor. I have to answer that to you, honestly. I say automatically, Modani, I thank God. But do I really thank God? Do I really think about God? And I've been wanting, I've been lacking in that. And I want to say this on a video, so I will be held to the standard. I want to dedicate the first few minutes of my day to a higher calling, to study, to prayer, to something meaningful, to charity, to doing things of goodness. Doesn't make a difference what it is. Pray, study, write checks, but do something positive the first few minutes of your day. Don't read the Wall Street Journal, and don't look at the TV. Don't read your book. Don't drink your cup of coffee at the first thing that you're going to do. Dedicate the first few minutes of your day, every day, to a higher calling, to God and to humanity. And that is the lesson of this week's Parsha. And that, if you do that, that your beginning is dedicated for a higher purpose, then everything else becomes v'haya. And it will happen in a good way. And even the negative, all the negativity will be turned to positive things. Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon.